This is Michael with WineGrapesDirect. Today we're going to be testing the free sulfur dioxide content of our wines, which is the most important and most frequent test you're going to use in home winemaking. It's a little complicated looking, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Now I'm going to give you a pretty simple explanation of it here, not really try to explain why the test works, but just know that the test works and follow the instructions and you should be able to do it. When you're doing these tests and rinsing off your instruments, it's important that you use distilled water. If you use tap water, you can get some different chemicals and mineralities in there that will throw off your test results. So first step is grab 10 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. One thing that's really important when you're doing the SO2 testing is keep your hydrogen peroxide pipettes and flasks separate from your other ones, because you can cross-contaminate pretty easily. So you can see I got this guy marked with duct tape, I got this one marked with duct tape, just so I know that that's what I'm using for my hydrogen peroxide. So I got 10 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide in there. Now I'm going to fill it up to about 50 milliliters total of water. Put in a couple drops of my SO2 indicator. This is something that changes color based on the pH of the solution. We're going to try to get it to the neutral point for this by adding some sodium hydroxide. Usually I just need like about 4 or 5 drops. When it becomes this greenish grayish color, that's what you're looking for. So you want to keep it there. If I add one more drop, it's going to turn totally green. So you want it between the green and the purple, and that's going to be your base point. And also know that this is the 0.01N sodium hydroxide, not the 0.1N that you would use for titratable acidity testing. Cool. So next we're going to grab our wine. We grab 25 milliliters of wine. In this case it's our 2014 Old Vine Carignan. Put in our 25 milliliters of wine into our wine flask. I got a W on it just so that I know that this is the wine flask and not the hydrogen peroxide flask. And we got this test kit for More Flavor. They're all basically going to be pretty much the same. Doesn't really matter who you get it from. All work on the same principle, same tools, all about the same price too. So just get what works best for you. And now we've got our wine in there, so we're going to get everything else set up and ready to go. Because once we add the phosphoric acid to the wine, it's going to start releasing sulfuric acid, which is going to go up through here, change the color of our solution. And based on how much it changes it, we'll know how much free SO2 is in our wine. So this is our 25% phosphoric acid. Go ahead and add 10 milliliters of this. Yeah, and as soon as this hits the wine, the reaction's happening. So once it's all in there, I'm going to plug it up, put on the air pump, and that's just going to push the air through here, get our sulfuric acid moving through here, and then based on how much color this changes, we will know how much free SO2 is in our wine. So here we've got our phosphoric acid in our wine being mixed together by the air. The air is also pumping the sulfuric acid that's being created by that combination up through here. That sulfuric acid is going to change the color of our hydrogen peroxide and indicolor, and depending on how much it changes the color, we'll know how much free SO2 we have in our wine. And you can kind of see it's already becoming that purple color that it started out with when we put in the SO2 indicator. So we'll just leave this running for 10 minutes, come back, and then we'll figure out exactly how much free SO2 we had in our Carignan. So we ran our test for 12 minutes. Now let's see how much SO2 we have and how much we need to add. So now what I'm going to do is add the 0.01N sodium hydroxide and see how much it takes to get this back to the base color. So you got to make sure you don't have any air bubbles in your tube here. No air bubbles, and then make sure you see your starting point. So right now I am at 4.2 ml. And just add it real slow. I think I have an idea of how much is going to be in here. Well, less than I thought. So I only added a couple drops there. meaning there's actually hardly any free SO2 in our wine right now. So it's a good thing I checked it, because I definitely need to add some more. Yeah, so I added 0.6 milliliters, and the color change happened a little bit before I was finished actually, so it's probably more like 0.4. Basically, you just take the milliliters of sodium hydroxide that you added and multiply it by 16. So since I had less than 1, there's actually going to be less than 16 parts per million here. Since I added less than half a milliliter, it's going to be less than 8 parts per million here. So I really need to bump up my SO2. This is why you always need to keep checking, because you don't know how much is going to be bound up from your first addition, and you don't know how much is going to be used up by oxygen exposure in your barrel or cardboard.